Hello everybody and welcome to the video. My name is Midway and I hope you had a wonderful day. I sure am. Today I'm here to just do a little bit of a ranking of every single class path in the Legend of Mushroom, from the point where you actually choose a path within a class, that being either of the two choices of Archer, Warrior or Mage, and then once they do get to level 100 we'll also rank that where it lays within an arbitrary S to D ranking that I will just do based on my knowledge on the game, right? So of course, let's just have a quick look at everything here in the evolution preview. You know, of course, we're going to be going from the Swordsman, Warrior and all that, the very intro level to choosing a path within the classes, right? This will be the base classes, and this I would call the paths. And then as they get to max level 100, not going to be talking about Awakening because I haven't gotten myself yet there. Then we'll just talk a little bit about the Awakening side of things and how those rank against each other, right? So I got here set up a bit of a tier maker, and we'll just start with everything from the left here as I just imported all these images. So we'll start with this spellcaster, right? So I've talked a little bit about some of this in different videos. I think spellcaster is pretty much your go-to when it comes to early leveling. It is going to give you so much skill damage. It's going to be increasing its potential, or just its raw damage as you are leveling up with every single upgrade on those different tiers on the skills, and that's really going to allow you to just do a lot more damage early on without needing all those other passive skills. With only the base passive skills that you get as a spellcaster, really you are very damn powerful, as opposed to a healer, which I would rank somewhere like a B tier or maybe even C tier, where you do not have access to some of those tools as you are especially progressing higher and higher towards the bishop level here, or the bishop, or the opposite side being the holy guide. You kind of just don't have the tools there as a contrast of a spellcaster. If we just go back to the game here, we'll look at the difference pretty quick. But there we go. Our healer would start not to get, we'll have the active skill energy region, whereas if you go with the spellcaster, you would just get the raw damage, which would come in the form of the skill crit damage and all the things that follow suit, like the active skills deal more damage to targets below 80% HP, versus a Chronomancer, which would have something like these belonging the active skills, right? So that's not saying the Holy Guide versus the Bishop or rank the same way, but just as those two are, I would rank the spellcaster so much better than the healer as a choice once you start a path. Now moving on to the archers here, let's just take a quick look at them before we do any rankings, so we can also know where we are standing. So the wind crossbower gets the combo damage, right? So it follows the path a lot more closely together with everything else, with the combo and increased, well, this one doesn't really follow much, but here's where we diverge. We start to get a little bit of that combo damage, and we focus a lot more on it as we progress. Here we go, we'll have extra shots during combos and all that juicy stuff. I've talked a little bit about that path as well. Once you accumulate a lot of combo, these could easily outscale the Shadow Hunter. However, that's going to be more of a level 100 kind of thing. Previously to that, you will have quite some more success just getting the increased damage bonus here from all the crits, but that also kind of relies on on your base stats. If you have good critical strike or just critical chance, as well as if you have a lot of combo, those two could work either way pretty nicely. But nonetheless, until level 100, Archer kind of lags behind spellcaster, so I would just put Wind Crossbower at B and Shadow Sniper somewhere around the same spot, like somewhere like here. Unless you have, if you have good amount of stats of either of combo, that being the Wind Crossbower, and just straight up crit with Shadow Sniper, you could make them work pretty nicely. However, Spellcaster still a better choice, in my opinion, for straight up just leveling with all that juicy scaling that you get just from getting higher tier skills. So that is my 2 cents on those two. We'll talk more about them once we get to the level 100 kind of evolution on all that stuff. Now moving on to warriors. Now I would rank Swordsman out of my probably ignorance as a D tier, and that's simply because Swordsman is extremely just defensive. Like, they get the damage resistance there early on, and then once they move up, they get the shield that absorbs a bunch of damage, max HP for 5 seconds, and then eventually they will get more stuff, right? But they get a lot of defensive stuff, and early on, you're not really usually struggling with dying when you're just like getting to level 100. You're most usually just running out of damage because you are not able to keep up with the curve. You're not getting those skills, you're not getting those levels on those skills, you're not getting everything that you need just to ramp up your damage. So Swordsman's not really helping in that regard. I think Axe Warrior is just way better in this case because you will get more damage out of counter damage, as well as all those reflects when basic attacks when hit. Reflect the basic attack damage when hit, right? So as a warrior, I would think your Axe Warrior is just straight up better for the sake of early on gameplay. Now, how does this rank versus other stuff? Swordsman, definitely I would say D tier. I've honestly seen very little content about Swordsman, and there's very little to praise about it, at least as the game is right now. Of course, as higher levels and you get to the Swordmaster kind of tier or evolution, then that would greatly change depending on your power level overall. But where would I put the Axe Warrior versus Shadow Sniper and Wind Crossbow? Well, obviously Axe Warrior is pretty much just a beast in PvP as well as early on. So if you would rank an Axe Warrior versus everything else at this tier, I would kind of guess just put it at a B tier. Your damage is gonna be depending a lot as well on how high you can scale your counter strike. So if you are able to get some counters, then your damage would scale just like combos and crits really. But counters are a little bit harder to just scale, as you also need to do so along with your defenses. With the proper build, you can build a proper warrior early on as you are increasing your survivability as well as your counter damage, following with that statue and all those juicy piles and skills and such, so you don't die as you are still taking a lot of damage and then dishing it back out. But then I would think there's more pieces to put together to build an Axe Warrior properly than there is to just build an archer. So I would put it at B tier just as a plain class. With the proper knowledge, it can grow to be a lot stronger, and that's where we're gonna go now to the actual level 100 evolution. So let's move over there, right? Let's just start with what I know. As a Shadow Hunter, you are pretty much an S tier right now. That's a PvE king. You're dishing out insane amounts of damage. Once you are building it properly, you're stacking up a lot of crit, you're stacking up a lot of combo, you're just doing insane amounts of damage with the proper combination of pulse and skills. It's just undeniably the strongest the strongest PvE class that there is right now, followed pretty closely by the opponent where it comes to your hunters. Really, Blue Mark really not lagging behind whatsoever as well. With a proper build, you can just get pretty much just as much damage. A lot of people playing it and getting a lot of success with it, but Shadow Hunter really being the choice for the most part, as I've seen most people play it. It just seems to pull a little bit farther ahead, so I'm gonna be ranking them just like that: Shadow Hunter versus Arrow God. Now, as I mentioned, the warriors really become the PvP kings of things, so I cannot put them anywhere lower than S tier. If you want to be dominating the PvP ladder and you're not really that big of a whale, of course as a whale you can just be the best with enough money, but as a warrior you will have a lot of easier time with the proper build, of course, and the proper guides that I got on my channel as well. Then you will be able to just be a lot stronger on the PvP ladder. It just has the perfect kit to survive and be able to dish out all that damage back as you are taking it. You're just able to survive and then benefit out of all this juicy stuff: the counter extra damage, the reflect when basic attack when hit, increased damage as you go lower and lower, and also build properly, it just becomes quite a menace and it takes forever to die, right? So pretty damn strong if you really are wanting to play a warrior in any situation. Really, you should be trying to go with a warmonger. Now, as a Shadow Swordmaster rather, I still wouldn't really know where to put this. I would probably just put it at C tier. Really, what do you get once you get to the max level? Well, looking at it, if I'm able to click it, there you go. You just straight up just get increased damage resistance by 2% for every 10% HP loss, right? So instead of getting extra damage, you get extra damage resistance. Once again, same sort of deal. You are becoming really damn hard to kill as you are getting more of the skills, but you are still not really scaling your damage with anything that's coming out of your base kit. Yeah, even once you awaken, you still only increase the counter damage received by the targets, really. So you would still have a better choice by going with the Warbringer, really, if you awaken, because you would benefit more out of that active skill. Or actually, no, that would be the case for the Martial Sage. Never mind, I completely mixed that up. But yeah, you would probably not want to play, there we go, that's what I was thinking about. But you will still not really benefit out of this when it comes to just dishing out damage. So you're still just not dying, but then where is your damage really? You would probably want to be a bit more defensive since you are already building those defenses out of other places. Maybe that could be a case where you are building more offensive out of other places and maybe not using some of those more defensive skills if you are building into a Swordmaster rather than a Warmonger. But I still think that Swordmaster is just really not that well built, at least for just the general use. It doesn't really have that much of a niche right now. Maybe in the future with raids or the type of raids or content unlocking, you would be able to see something a lot more defensive like this shining properly. Now, what about mages, right? So bishops, they're still just dishing out insane amounts of damage, really. If you are building it properly as well, just like always, you get a lot of skill damage, you get a lot of skill crit going on, and you will just destroy anything, really. Why is it got a little bit of a delay? But what you get here is just increasing your basic attack still and increase 100% damage if you're using an active skill. So I still wonder if you really get a good benefit, a good use out of this, because that basic attack, you're not really increasing it, you're increasing your skill damage. And really, I think this is a bit of a waste of a last passive skill you get as a mage. So I'm thinking really you probably at this point really have a bigger choice between a Holy Guide and just a Bishop, really. I kind of would rank them similarly, really, because if you would build what you call a Prophet or a Holy Guide in this case, pretty much just like a mage, you would just go for skill crit, you would go for more stuns in this case because of these prolonged active skills. No, actually it was the last one. It's the last one that triggers the cooldown regeneration on all active skills. If you would be having a decent amount of stun and still would go for a massive amount of skill crit and just scale that damage on your skills with the active skill regen, then you would become quite a beast on dishing out just a lot of active skills. However, the Bishop or the other option really just comes in packed nicely with all that damage increase, which really very hard to just counter. Even though you might have more skills, you have a lot of very strong active skills here. So I still think that mages are ranking similarly like this. I would put the Bishop on top here, just because I think it's easier to just build and get more damage out of. But you could pretty much make a pretty good build for Holy Guide if you get the proper amount of stun and just try and make it work together with that last passive skill that you unlock. So this is how I would rank everything. If you would agree with me or not, let me know down in the comments. I think this is quite a fair judgment of what the game looks like right now. Obviously, you would have a pretty good choice of every class here on the S tier, as well as just ranking the leveling up classes seemingly like this. If I would agree definitely, as you're approaching to a point where you actually have more choices when the evolutions reach level 100. And then we'll do this maybe once we actually learn a little bit more about awakenings later down the line. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. Now, if you're not just using Aptoide, you should definitely check it out. It's gonna be basically a discount from all the way to 10% to 35%, depending on how much bonus you have accumulated. So the way this works is that whenever you are in game and you are gonna be trying to make any purchase, you're gonna be prompted to do so through the AppCoins wallet. So that will open up and it's gonna be telling you how much of a bonus you are accumulating for that purchase. If you scale that bonus, obviously that amount will be higher. And once you have enough bonuses accumulated, you will be able to use such bonuses to make the purchase for you without actually spending any real money. You would just be able to buy them with the extra value you unlocked for your money previously. So it's, as I mentioned, it's like a discount for further purchases down the line. I've been using this for a little while. It's pretty damn handy, and if you are an avid user and player on these games, well, definitely that's going to be pretty handy. Everything's going to be down below in the description. My code to increase that bonus by 5% flat from the get-go, as well as how to set everything up. It's going to be a guide down there, and any questions as well I will answer gladly in the comment section. So hopefully you enjoy that. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. See ya.